I was there from October 2018, and then I came home in March of 2019. I was at that time I was stationed at Mar Forcom. That's a 3-star command that's out of Norfolk. I was the training chief, and just itching like the addiction to getting back overseas, And so I was trying to find me a billet to go. So this was a one person combined joint task force. You know, I signed up for it, tried to get on there. I was, talked to my wife about it, and I got picked. So commercial flight out there, no camis, no nothing. You're wearing civilian clothes all day. So very, very untraditional. I was there as the senior enlisted leader at Baledogle Airfield. So that was the overall mission, right? Al Shabaab was the current threat at the time. And we, our main mission for the entire contingency site, or the base we'll call it, was just help allied forces disrupt and prevent al-Shabaab from gaining superiority over the airfield. And then my mission as the senior enlisted leader was just working that, like the operations, providing leadership, working with allied forces. At the time, we had units that were all over that place, right? MARSOC was there, SEALs would come in and out, PJs, everybody. And I was the only, except for the people who weren't part of Combined Joint Task Force, I was the only active duty Marine there. Everybody else was it was a melting pot of everything. We had Air Force, Navy, reservists, National Guard.
So first you say that you were itching to get back overseas, and then you use that word addiction, and that's something that you write about, and something I've heard from combat vets a lot. And maybe you could spell that out, but what I hear from combat vets, addiction to the adrenaline, to the intensity of combat, to a context where everything is important, all the decisions you're making are important. So, first kind of spell that out, because, you had seen tours in Afghanistan, you had seen tours in Iraq, a lot of combat. And is that what you're saying, that you're kind of missing that world, and so you're looking for something to get into to kind of get back in that world, and this Operation Somalia comes up?
Yeah, and at the time, I 100% believed that was the case, right? Like 100% addicted to combat, the leadership role, just the way, the adrenaline. And then recently, I've started to kind of do a lot of thinking into it. Is it the addiction to combat, or is it the addiction to the lack of outside noise? Right? Like you don't have to worry about mowing the grass or getting the groceries or taking kids to and from school, or you know exactly what you have to do every single day. You know the threats are out there. You're either going to go out there and get blown up by an ID or get a kinetic firefight, and you know exactly what is going to happen. There's very little outside noise that that prevents you from doing your job. You know exactly what needs to get done. You get a box of MREs, you get a box of water, you throw them in your truck, and you're good. Go out there and do what you got to do. Right now I'm playing with both ways. Like, is it one or the other? Is it addicted to the chaos or the lack of outside chaos? I don't know.
Now, you mentioned that Marine Special Forces are there, MARSOC. You mentioned the SEALs. You mentioned the Air Force PJs. So, so what is going on over there? What's the general story? What's playing out over there? You're bringing over elite special forces. So what's going on?
Yeah, and they have their own missions and their own operational assets, right? And they weren't they didn't fall under my scope at Combined Joint Task Force. They're completely different, right? MARSOC was there solely to train allied forces. They're not doing operations. We're not sending anybody outside of our walls at this point.
Oh, okay.
There's no at this time, and again, we're what 60 miles away from Mogadishu, and they had their own assets there from Combined Joint Task Force. For us, our sole priority was the airfield, right? So
Okay,
that way, PJs could get out and go do rescue missions if they had to.
I see.
Um, that way, whatever intelligence assets they had, to leave that airfield. So our sole mission was the airfield.
Defense of the airfield.
Yep, absolutely.
Um, and who are you defending the airfield against?
And primarily it's Al Shabaab, the terrorist organization of Al Shabaab.
And how much of a threat were they, to the base? Were there regular, was there harassment stuff that's coming in, or?
No, I mean not at all. I mean at that point, um, I don't know how long that base had been there before I got there. At that point, it was nothing like any of my previous deployments. And again, like I'm walking around in jeans and a t-shirt, and weapons are being hidden. Like we're not trying to draw attention to us, but at the same time, you can't hide the 50 cals on the post on the corner. You know what I'm saying? Like so it's a double-edged sword there. In February, right before I left, there was a probing attack where they mortared the base, and that was it. It was just a probing attack. At the time, we had just thought, hey, they're just saying if we're still on our toes, we're still here. Are we going to go and respond to them? But then after I left, and months later, they got mortar attack, 2 V-bids, small arms fire, an attempt to actually get onto the base and infiltrate the base. So now you can look back and say, well, that February attack when I was there, that was just a probing attack to see what they were trying, what we would do. And then months later, after I had left, that's when they launched that full-scale attack and attempted to actually get onto the base.
Who were the Allied forces?
So we had Ugandans there. So let's see, UPDF. So Ugandan People's Defense Force. We had Ugandans there. We had the SNA, which is the Somali National Army, and then down on the far side of the camp when I was there, Danab was there too, and that's just their version of special forces. And then obviously we had everybody else, right? We had every branch had some sort of representative there, whether it was Air Force, Navy, Army, National, everyone had somebody there. And then sometimes you'd have, French forces come, and they would come for a couple of days. And I think that's mostly just training with Allied forces. So, I mean, that primarily it was Ugandan and SNA were the people that I seen the most.
What was your assessment of them? And I mean, I'm assuming as you're, interacting, seeing what's going on with these Allied forces, these Somali National Army and Ugandan forces. I mean, you've got the experience of ANA, the Afghanistan National Army, and then our allies in Iraq. What was your assessment of these Ugandan and Somali forces?
Yeah, I thought they were pretty effective. I thought they were um, well rehearsed, well trained. Again, it could be me at the same time, right? So when I'm in Iraq, I'm a PFC Lance Corporal. I'm young. I get to Afghanistan. I'm a sergeant. I'm still young, but I've gained some leadership, and by the time I get to Somalia, I'm a gunny getting ready to retire. Like I look at things differently at that point as well. So when I compare them to Allied forces I've worked with in Afghanistan and Iraq, I thought they were great. There were still obviously there's still some things at night when SNA is on post, and they're using drugs or something. That happens everywhere with these Allied forces and everywhere we go. But as well as much as like a command and control, chain of command, and the way they train, like I thought they were well established, and they were really effective. I was really impressed with them. I didn't expect to be, but I was really impressed.
So I'm interested in, you know, to the extent you are aware of it, kind of the big picture mission. Is this about making, trying to make Somalia more secure, in relation to, I mean, everything we hear from Mogadishu going back years, but also the pirates from Somalia, sort of clamping down on that? Is it primarily about just killing terrorists, the global war on terrorism? What's the big mission that's in play here?
Yeah, so the feeling that I got, or my understanding when I was there, that the overall mission, right? Again, like my mission's different as a senior enlisted leader for uh, a combined joint task force, but I think the overall mission was to enable SNA and Denab to fully take control of that, and for them to protect their own assets in the long run, them to fight their own battles, right? I mean, this is the first time where I've been on a camp, and I've been on tons of FOBs and camps and OPs like throughout my career where SNA had their family in the middle of the camp. There was an actual village built on base, and this is a really small camp. We're talking like this is just the size of an airfield. It's a linear shotgun style camp, and there was a spot for their families there, right? So I've never seen that before. My assessment would be the overall what everybody was trying to achieve was for them to take hold and to do this themselves.
So basically, for the Somalis, then just to manage the security of their own country.
Yeah. Well, smaller scale, I say for us, and that little is to protect your own airfield.
Yeah.
This is a key airfield in your country. You all need to make sure that you don't let Al Shabaab take this airfield.
I see. Yeah.
Because you take the airfield out, I mean, you're in trouble. Like again, Mogadishu is only 60 miles away. I mean, that's a key infrastructure. And there's a reason why they built this really hastily at the time, put up perimeter around an airfield. And again, we're not talking about Camp Fallujah here or Marja or nothing along that line. We're talking about this is an outline around this airfield, and it's lined up. So tents and living quarters are all linear. So I mean that's the only focus is that airfield.
Looking back now, you served in Iraq, you served in Afghanistan, you served in Somalia. I think, is it five different deployments?
Yep.
So some time has passed now, and you're able to look back on that. Um, in your mind, are you able to see these things as part of the same story?
I think Somalia is part of the same fight, just a broader fight. Um, Again, take away our individual mission, right? If we look at Combined Joint Task Force as a whole, HOA, Horn of Africa, right? There's a reason why there's a Joint Task Force, Horn of Africa. There's a reason why that's created. We're not just creating billets out of nowhere. So I think the task force as a whole, you're there to disrupt terror networks, right? So same thing that we're doing everywhere else is we're trying to disrupt terror networks, and we're trying to support allied forces to take control and do what they can themselves. So specifically in Somalia, you're looking at Al Shabaab, right? And they're doing I mean, I think the biggest thing I heard about them was like the choke points, the checkpoints that they put on the roads where they were just terrorizing people and taking all their goods, and that was the biggest thing. And obviously we weren't able to go react to that, but that's what you're training the SNA to go do. All right. So, that was the first time for me where you knew certain things were happening, but it was a pretty hard, like, you're not leaving this compound. This is your job. Focus on this. They need to go do that. Help them do that. And I'm used to, we will go with them and watch and help and enable and be part of it. But this was really like, no, help SNA, help Denab, and they are going to handle that. And they did just that, So again, I think it's the same fight. It's just broader, right? I think we're on a different scale, same objective, different scale, right? Again, we got, like I said, we got these big bases and COPs and OPs and FOBs all around Iraq and Afghanistan. And this was this is a small contingency base. This is just a tiny sliver of land where, you're not wearing, like I said, you're not wearing camis. You're not trying to go out there and make yourself a threat. You're not trying to go out there and insert yourself into their problems. You're just there to help.
You're not wearing uniforms, and then you're not leaving the base. So what that tells me is that the American policy is for you guys to be there to help, but to have as small a footprint as possible, so that this is all my assumption, so that the locals don't come to look at this as an American operation, that the Americans are here to take over. So you're not wearing the uniform, you don't leave the base. Is that what that's all about? Like having, having the Americans there, but with as small a footprint as possible.
Well, absolutely. And I think we have to remember it's 2019 as well. Like, would it be different if there's a larger threat and it's in 2006, right? But again, it's my evolution, my individual evolution would be, everything that I've learned in Iraq and Afghanistan. By the time 2019 comes around, we've learned quite a bit. We're learning that we don't have to go out there and be trigger pullers and be the person that shuts down checkpoints and takes down terrorists. It worked, right? Like I said, every camp that I've been on, every FOB that I've been on has been, not only do you leave the wire and go out and you're on patrol and there's kinetic energy and there's IEDs, there's also reciprocation where there's IDF and there's small arms fire and there's constant probing attacks. And you could be in the porter john and the mortar falls in on you, or you're sleeping in your tent, and you know what I'm saying. And now we're in 2019. We're not going outside the wire. We're not going out there and causing chaos. We're sticking to our primary mission. We're also not getting probed. We're not getting attacked. I'm there from October to March, and there's one mortar attack that's a probing attack with no casualties. I think that's something to look at, where the evolution of what works or doesn't work when you're working with partnered and allied forces.